lead portal analyst. He's Michael Langston. My name is Tom Lang. Hit the thumbs up as you enter in this video today. We heard you. I saw the comments yesterday. Why are you posting updates for visits? Well, visits are important, everybody. And Florida State has a defensive back on campus, a potential transfer from Houston right now. And they've lined up a couple of more visits because there's a big-time wide receiver that Florida State is vying for and an offensive lineman. We're going to talk about all of that today. But, Michael, I do want to lead with the kid who has made it to campus because these things are always fluid.
Yeah,
and
they
so
are.
you're talking about Jeremiah Wilson, defensive back from Houston, 4 interceptions last year, interception return for touchdown. What's the latest you're hearing as we're recording this Thursday evening about what he's doing and what his time is like in Tallahassee?
Yeah, we mentioned yesterday, that he's definitely visiting. I know I confirmed that he is expected to be okay. He's probably already on campus now as we talk. That's a guy that they've locked in on. I mentioned that even my article earlier this week that this one could move fast. I still continue to hear that there's a confidence building with FSU that they feel like if everything clicks and goes the way they expect to go, they could get some good news, and I lean that way. If I was making a pick, I would make a pick today, for FSU. Currently based on what I'm hearing, good connection, really strong connection with I think Surtain. I think that's one of the big reasons too that he was originally withdrew for the portal, then got back in. FSU showed interest, then he got over here. He's getting over here for a visit. So I think it really, if you follow the tea leaves, it's pretty easy to see. Like he's very sold on kind of what FSU does. There's a connection there that is very strong, and I like where they sit in this one going into this visit. Supposed to be here on Thursday and then Friday as well. We'll try to catch up with him after the visit goes, but right now I feel like there's some good stuff building there.
Well, this is where, the portal, as a reminder to folks out there, if they follow recruiting, this is a little bit different with the portal. You want to get a kid on campus and not let the kid leave without agreeing to being a part of university. So Florida State is trying to lock that down. Stay tuned to warchant.com and the premium recruiting board for all those updates about Jeremiah Wilson's experience in Tallahassee. Now, Florida State is bringing in 2 more players. We'll go to skill position first. A wide receiver that they're vying against Kentucky for, among some
Yeah.
other schools, Michael. But this is a Big 12 transfer out of Cincinnati. Tell us about this player and what you're hearing so far about Florida State landing a wide receiver out of the portal.
Yeah, Tony Johnson, a former actually walk-on at FAU, had a very productive time there. I think 7 touchdowns, 600 yards, maybe a little more than that. And then certainly, as we've seen with Trayshawn Ward and these other ones that are walk-ons, you get an opportunity. And you went to Cincinnati, was pretty productive there as well. I think around 500 yards, 6 touchdowns, led the team, the Bearcats, in touchdowns, and a guy that certainly very good in space, very good, knows how to get open in his routes, and certainly has some nice speed. So we've seen Hakeem Williams, Jalen Brown, Jordan Scott, those guys leaving. It opens up a chance for an opportunity, and he confirmed to me today. Tony hit me back up and said, "Hey, I'll be there Saturday and Sunday." So he'll be visiting Saturday and Sunday. That's certainly, I think, a very key visit because that's what you're looking for. You don't necessarily have to have somebody that's 1,000-yard receiver, but this kid screams like productivity when you look at just where he's been. Every place he's been has been pretty productive. Certainly, you want guys that as high as you can get, 1,000 yards receiving, but I think he kind of fits where he meshes in with one of those losses, let's say a Jalen Brown. I think he fits kind of in that mold.
Now to the future. Now, this is what we were talking about yesterday. Florida State
Yeah.
interested in the offensive line. Do they really want a guy who's a plug-and-play starter, or might they be going to dip into a pool of players that can help them over the course of the next few years? Now an SEC offensive line transfer that Florida State's trying to lock down a visit for. His name's Joshua Raymond. He's out of Vanderbilt. Michael, where does Florida State stand with this player?
Yeah, it's a very fascinating, recruitment. He's from Lake Mary High School. I know that very well because I went to several of their games over there. He's a Central Florida kid, so there's a lot of ties I know already to Herb Hand. Herb's very good in the Central Florida area, Clearwater, all those. So I know there's a previous connection. Joshua did hit me up. Joshua Raymond hit me back up and said, "Hey, I am visiting there next week." I don't know the exact day. We'll certainly get that, but I think more of an interior guy when I look at him. and from what I've heard, more of a guard. I don't think they need a center, so I think he's more the guard position of where you would see it. And then there's some other guys in there that I think is, a solid possibility that FSU gets on campus. Larry Johnson, Cam Pringle that we talked about the other day. Cam's probably more the offensive tackle in that class. So they certainly want to bolster their depth at the offensive line. And so I think that's why they've kind of focused a lot on these guys and just getting, you find, you want to make up what you've lost attrition wise in the portal and do it with guys that you feel these guys fit everything we want, what we're going to do. And certainly with the guard position, we know Gus is going to want to run the ball. You can't get much better than, and two, when you get a guy that you're very aware of, this kid's very young. I think evaluations matter of previous connections and previous work when knowing what skill set you're dealing with. And so he's one that I think they'll get on campus. And I think the other two that I mentioned earlier, I think they're going to get visits from them. So definitely trying to balance it out. I think we're certainly going to see some defensive line and edge guys on campus, eventually. And I can't stress it enough for people because I think people get so locked into that 25th date that it's really just entering the portal. It's like there's going to be kids that are visiting week or weeks after, that they don't have to make a decision on the 25th. They just need to be in the portal. And I think that's a point that I want to keep mentioning because I think people just think in that window that it's over, once, you can't enter anymore.
Yeah, totally. This is something where on the 25th, it's almost like from a Florida State fan's perspective, you should be looking at it and saying, I hope nobody else enters from our school,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It's like you want to prevent the kids from entering the portal, but when it comes to hosting kids and making decisions, they're going to take some time. It'll be interesting. Joshua Raymond, again, you're right. He'll be a redshirt freshman. Cam Pringle's a young player. Larry Johnson's more veteran. So like 2 out of those 3 would be multi-year pieces to add to the puzzle. One of those
Right.
guys might be more a plug and play. So, all right, now we've got defensive back on campus that you feel good about, a wide receiver that's coming in over the weekend, a few offensive linemen, one of which is definitely going to be on campus. You still think, Michael, that they're going to be looking at defensive line before this is all said and done, though, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. I know they're already talking to some. I've heard they're lining up visits for a few of these guys that are defensive line. So I think that's the next domino to fall when where we see a defensive line set up. I think more for me, like I said the other day, one defensive tackle, one edge, if that will be a perfect scenario for them. But I definitely think there's going to be somebody that you want to add in there. Because you had the injury up to the Tennessee kid, so you want to make sure that you have the depth across the board that you want. So I definitely think you'll see some visits and some activity with the defensive line as well.
So keep it locked to warchant.com. Sign up if you haven't already. It's just $1 for your first week. It's going to be a busy week, as Michael told me before we hit the air. His phone's going crazy. All of those updates in real time posted to the premium recruiting board. We get to you here to give you a daily recap or major breaking news on Warchant TV. So hit the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for those updates. But we got you covered across the board here on the Warchant family of networks. Michael, hopefully you get your rest in between. We appreciate you staying busy for us, and I'm sure we'll be talking pretty soon, probably.
You got it, man.